Hey everybody, I'm Mike, this is Moose, and can you create convincing model weathering without buying a single specialized weathering product? Model weathering using household items only is next on Modeling with Mike. Alright, and we're back, and let's start by just briefly stating what counts as a household item. Well, number one, in this test, this is going to be a test, not a how-to. This is just a test, testing different things out. And here we're not going to use any dedicated weathering powders. We're not going to use any specialized weathering products. No expensive modeling effects products. And everything we use, except for like paint or something like that, must be something that can be found around the house, such as sponges, paper towels, cotton swabs, toothbrushes, etc. So let's start on our first test, chipping and paint wear. So what are we trying to accomplish? The goal here is to get small irregular areas where paint appears to have worn or chipped away, exposing the color underneath. And we don't want huge random chunks of paint missing. We're trying to reproduce the kind of wear you might see on vehicle edges, hatches and access panels, corners, high contact areas, or areas where crew members would frequently walk or handle the vehicle. The key is controlled imperfection. So what are we going to use? We have our model here. This is just a model I had lying around. I used for other tests and stuff. And I put a very quick layer of primer and then a very quick layer of Vallejo USNC blue. And it was very, I think I thinned it too much, because it came out blotchy and stuff, but that's not the point. I could care less about that because this is just being used for a test. So here's our model. We're going to use Kaleido metal aluminum for the paint. We're going to use a common household sponge. Then we're going to try chipping with a toothpick and then common toothbrush. So I took this Kaleido aluminum and I mixed it in the Vortex paint mixer. Get this all cleaned out a bit. It's been attracting dirt, but we'll put this in here. Put a little aluminum paint in there and put that there. And first thing, I told you how we prepared the test area. One coat of primer, one coat of navy blue. So we're gonna do a couple of paint chips around where the pilots would walk while they're getting into the plane, or people would walk during maintenance and stuff like that. So first of all, we're going to rip off a piece of the sponge. Maybe I need to use my knife and cut off a piece of sponge. There we go. We have a piece of sponge here, and what we want is an irregular edge. We got a couple of those. That'll give you random looking chips and everything. So we just want to dip the very edge of this into the paint. Okay, come over here to some paper towel, dab it off till we have a nearly dry sponge. Okay, now we start dabbing it. We're going to do this part right along here. So we'll start dabbing it. And then maybe dab a little bit over here where he might have been catching his feet up there. One more. All right, and we'll put this aside, and there you have it. A little bit of random chipping. I did a little bit too much, but maybe there is a little better. But that's the effect you can get with the sponge. Now we'll go to this other side and we'll try the toothpick. And we'll do the same. We'll dip it in here and we'll do scratches. Just sort of tap it, dip it and tap it. See how you get little scratches there? And there, my friends, is what you can do with a toothpick. Now, you know, these, yeah, you know, I think I could have lightened up a bit there, but these could be, so far, these could be done a lot more efficiently if you use the hairspray chipping method. And I have a video on how to do that, and I'll leave a link to that in the video description here. So here's what we'll do. We'll try the toothbrush next. Oh no, that's not, no. That's not gonna work. So toothbrush doesn't work. But the sponge, if you use a smaller piece than this, use a very small piece. Sponge can get you a desired effect, as well as the toothpick if used sparingly. But really, folks, I would use the hairspray chipping method. And as I said before, I'll leave a link to that video in this video description. Okay? So, comparing the three techniques, what looks more realistic right now? The sponge. Just need to lighten up a bit on it and that would have looked real nice. The most control, I would say the sponge. The toothbrush, nah, not at all. Not this way, at least. What would be easiest for a beginner? Definitely the sponge. So far the sponge is winning this test. Which one would I actually use on a finished model? I would say the sponge. Definitely. Just lighten up on it, use a little smaller piece, and that would be that. So, toothbrush, forget it. Forget it. That's just blobbing paint on. I just wasted some paint, so oh well. So, now, just remember one thing when you're doing this method. The result we're looking for is that it has to look like the paint has actually been worn away, not like it's old and beat up. So that looks like it's been worn away, and on the side there. So yeah, that's getting the desired effect. A little less, like I said before, a little less, it'd be perfect. So let's give this test a scorecard. I'm gonna go for on the sponge, easy use, I'll give it 5 stars. Control, I'll give it 4. You got to make sure you have a small enough piece and an irregular cut on it. So yeah, realism, I'll give it about a 4. If you do this right, it could be very realistic. And the cost is 5 stars. So would I use it again? Definitely, definitely. For the toothpick, easy use, definitely a 5. Control, give it about a 2. Realism, about a 3. And cost, I'll give it a 4. And would I use it again? I wouldn't use a toothpick unless I'm doing the hairspray method. And then toothbrush, just, yeah, all the way down 1 out of 5. Or except for cost. Cost, since you're using an old toothbrush, that'll be a 4 out of 5. And I would definitely not use it again this way. That's definitely something you'd want to use the hairspray chipping method with. So, I'm going to turn off the camera. I'm going to come back and we will have test number 2. So we will be right back. Alright, welcome back. And it's time for test number 2, which will be dirt, grime, and staining. And what we're trying to accomplish here is we're trying to accomplish dirt collecting around raised details, grime accumulating in recesses, muddy or dirty staining, dark buildup around panels and fittings, vertical streaking caused by rain and runoff in areas where dirt has accumulated over time. In other words, dirt shouldn't just sit on the model. It should look like it's accumulated in and around the details. So what we're going to use is we're going to use good old baking soda. We're going to use some coffee grounds. And forgot this. We're going to use dish soap and some cotton swabs. Get a couple of those here. Plus we got some mixing cups to mix everything up in. Got these at the dollar store. $1 or $2. There we go. Get one of these out of here. Alright. So, first of all, we're going to make our dirt mixture. First of all, we want just a little bit of finely ground coffee. Just a little bit in there. And a small amount of baking soda. Just a pinch of each, I guess, will work. A small amount of baking soda. There we go. Then we'll mix them up. Let's get a toothpick here. Mix them up. There we go. You're looking for something that looks like that. Dirt colored dry mixture. Not a thick pile of coffee. Now, we need another container. And we'll come over here to our water. We want some water in here. And we have a little bit of water in this one. We want a tiny amount of dish soap, so maybe about a drop. Let's try it. Whoops, okay, that's a bit much, but Oh well. Then we get a small amount of our dirt mixture. We'll put our dirt mixture in there. What the hell? And we'll mix it all up. And we'll get it nice and mixed. Okay, so we got something that looks like that in there. So now we need to apply it to a model. And we need like an old brush here. Let me pick out something. Here's a good one. So what you want to do, pick a small section of the model. Let's see, we're going to try back here, okay? Or try somewhere, let's try this part here, where it's a little lighter, okay? And we'll apply it around these panel lines here and see what happens. Okay, well, sort of just, it's doing what we want it to do, sort of. It's just running down there, collecting on the bottom. So, yeah, if this was a lighter model, if I chose a lighter color maybe, this would be great. See how that's, let that collect in the details there. See how it went into the recesses there? Okay, now we have, it's like, yeah, that's just, I don't like that. I don't like that. Really, it's, and we're gonna let it sit briefly here. Give it time to settle. Now what we're wanting was some to stay in the recesses or on the panel lines while other parts stay clean. And I think, you know, I chose the wrong color. It should have been a lighter color. Let's try this right here or this right here. But it's doing basically what we want. I think I screwed up with the color here. I chose a way too dark surface color. Let's see if we can remove some of the excess here. Let's see what we got. Let's remove the excess. Lots of excess. And, well, you can see where it's right, like in here, where it's collected in the lines, but not exactly what I was looking for in this. So that's all I need to see of this part. See if it we can create vertical streaks with it with our brush. I'll come off, just pull it downward, and it's, I prefer my way of using makeup for those vertical streak lines. That's always worked for me in the past, and this is, yeah, this is just not working. So, yeah, no matter what test I'm trying to do here, it's not working. So, let's see. Let's go over this test, which was very much a bomb. Does this create convincing dirt? Hell no. Does it create believable grime and recesses? I really don't think so. Can we control where it goes? No, it was running down and it was going everywhere. Would I actually use it on any model? No. So on my scorecard. Ease of use, well, you know, for the way you're supposed to use it, I'll give it a 4, because all you're supposed to be able to do is touch it and let it run. Control, I'll give it a 1. You have no control. Realism, I'll give it a 1/2. It doesn't work. There's no realism. Cost, well, like most everything here, it's either going to be a 4 or a 5 because it's just household items. I'll give this a 4. Would I use it again? Hell no. This bombed out. So, we've had one test that worked good and one test that bombed out. So, we'll turn off the camera and get ready for test number 3. So we'll be right back. All right, and we're back. And this is test number 3. We're gonna try dust and surface effects. So here we're just looking for, see if it'll get a little light contrast to what's on there. So what we're trying to create is a dusty, slightly faded appearance, dust accumulation on horizontal surfaces, dust around the lower portions of the vehicle, subtle variation in the paint finish, a transition between the clean upper surfaces and dirtier lower surfaces. The goal is subtle realism. We don't want the model to look like it was dipped in flour. We want the viewer to think the vehicle has been operating in a dusty environment. So what we're going to use, regular old Johnson's baby powder, cornstarch. We're going to use a soft makeup brush to blend everything in, cotton swab for removing excess, paper towel for cleanup, got a little bit of water there and a container for mixing, and of course we got our model. So let's do the extreme outside of every wing, since we haven't touched that. Okay, we'll do the weathering on this side, no weathering on weathering, no weathering. Okay, so next, we'll start with a bit of baby powder. So we'll get our baby powder opened up. And we just don't need much here. Come on now. Anytime. Lift that up. Okay. Very small amount. We need another container here because we just want this dry apparently. And put a small amount in there, and we'll put our makeup brush in there, pick up a tiny amount, and we'll work it on in there. And and you just want to lightly cover it. You're not wanting it to look like you're painting it white. You just want a nice translucent looking dust effect. Okay, now put a little more dust on there in areas where it might accumulate, you know. Da-de-da-de-da-de-da. Just tap it. Okay, there's that. Now, we'll take this, we'll blend it all together. From the dusty side to the clean side. And you don't want a nice transition. Let's see, put a little more on there and blend it in. There we go. So we'll move on Get that out of there. We'll move on to the cornstarch. So there's what the baby powder looks like. You can see it, you know, gathered up around where the decal is that I covered up. And you could tell a difference a bit between that and that. I'm not sure. But let's try the cornstarch here. And again, we just need a small bit, like a pinch. There we go. Should have worn my gloves, but what the heck. This will all come off with water. We're going to use this side against this side now. Now we'll just tap it in there. Put some on there. Transition it down. Most of this stuff is just running off. But we're getting what we want though. We're wanting a realistic dusty finish. And I think we're getting it. And we want slight. We want slight. We don't want anything real heavy duty. And you can see that there's starting to become a dusty appearance. So, you know, this seems like it'll be a technique that would take a while to do. I mean, take a look, see, we got this side against this side, and then we did this side against this side, which was clean. You know, I think, to tell you the truth, if I did a better paint job on it, it would have been a lot easier to discern. But yeah, so yeah, there's that. So after testing, you saw it. Does the material look like dust? It's starting to. They're both starting to. I really can't say yes or no. It's really, I don't know. It's, you know, I think a little more would be good, but right now it just looks like a crummy painted plane. So was it easy to control? Well, you look at the cutting mat and you tell me if it's easy to control. No. Okay, can we create subtle gradients? You look at it. Not really. Not really. Yeah, I'm not a big fan. Does it enhance the model without overpowering the other weathering? Looks like it didn't do much for the model. But, you know, that could be the paint job. Looks to me like most of it just hit the model and ran off. So, would I use it again? Probably not. Chances are doubtful. Chances are real doubtful. So, scorecard time. Ease of use. I'll give it a 1. It just sort of hit it and fell off. Not good. Control. I'll give it a 1/2. Just for what I just said. It just hit it and fell off. Realism. 1. Cost. I'll give it a 4. Would I use it again? No. Like I said before, it just hit and fell off. Hit and fell off. So we're going to come back after I turn off the camera and clean up here a bit. We're going to turn it back on. I'll have a surprise test for you. So we'll be right back. All right, and we're back one more time, and we have a surprise test for you here. And we're going to use pencil graphite to weather. And what we're going to look for here is we're going to see whether ordinary pencil graphite can create convincing looking, metallic looking wear, polished edges, scuff marks, dark grime, high contact wear, or subtle highlights on raised edges. The goal isn't to make the entire model shiny. We're trying to create the appearance of metal showing through where paint has been worn away. And because graphite catches the light, it can produce a surprisingly convincing metallic effect. So what are we going to use? Regular number 2 pencil. Got our paper towel, and we got cotton swab or 2, our model. And you can either use one of 2 things to make some graphite dust. You can use the edge of a knife, or you can use fine grit sandpaper. I'm going to use the edge of a knife. I usually do. I'm going to put it into my palette here. So, but first, there's 2 methods we can use here. Method A is using it directly, using the pencil like you would writing on paper. Just use the pencil with, just use it as a pencil. And method B is creating graphite powder. Alright, and applying it with a cotton swab. So we're going to use this area right here of the model. There's a bunch of raised edges there. So there's the same thing on the other side. So we're not going to do anything with half of it. Front half here we're going to mark on. Back half we're going to leave it alone. So on this side we're going to try the pencil directly. So don't press hard, use several light passes, and it's working, folks, it's working. Actually it is. Look right there, compared to right there. Look at that. You just go light on it, go light, and eventually, bingo, you have a light coloration there. Now, let's see what we can do on this side. Let's see here, if we increase the pressure here, what happens. Definitely gets very noticeable there. So, as you can see, as I put it in the light, that's just using the pencil as a pencil compared to that. So there you go. So now, this is the way I've done it in past before I got my Kaleido metallic paints and my gunmetal paint. This is what I used to create gunmetal effects. I used the graphite on my pencil. We're just going to make a little pile in here, just enough to get on a, and remember, we're going to apply it here, not here. So we're going to bring it down here. We're just going to apply it gently first. Make sure we're getting it on, and there it is. It's starting to show on there. Definitely. It's a more subtle or subtle. Every time I try to say subtle, it comes out settle. I don't know why, but the more I do it, the darker it gets, of course. And yeah, it's definitely working. But of course, I've used this in the past, and either way works. Here, I'll show you here. get it going against the light. There is where I applied it. Right there is where I applied it. And there's the control spot. Notice, much lighter. Notice how the light's reflecting off of it and not there. So yes, it does work and very controllable. So I think we have two parts that do work, two tests that did work, two tests that bombed out badly. So now, what happens when we try to buff this out? We're going to take the clean side. I'm going to take this side first, and we're just going to, like we're burnishing down bare metal foil here. We're just going to rub this in. And look at this. Look at that. Look at how that turned into, like, it almost looks like polished bare metal. Let's try this side, where I just did it with the regular pencil. This is a brand new Q-tip. And wow, are you kidding me? Look how that, wow. So yeah, you saw it here first, folks. So let's look back on this test, shall we? So direct pencil versus the powder. Well, the pencil, the advantages to the pencil is you could be very precise with it. You get this to a fine point and you can put it anywhere on there. It's excellent for edges. You just want to get a little line done, one or two lines, perfect. And it's very easy to control. It's just like using any other marker or colored pencil or anything else for that matter. Disadvantage is if you do it wrong, it could look too much like pencil marks, and you gotta watch what you're doing because it's easy to overdo. Now let's talk about the graphite powder. Its advantages. It is softer. It has a more subtle effect, so you're gonna have to be, if you want a heavier type look to it, you're going to have to apply more. Because it is softer, it's easier to blend and therefore better for larger areas. Now the disadvantages are it's less precise and it's real easy to spread it too far because it is a powder. That's it for all the tests. Well, I forgot the scoreboard on this. Ease of use, 5. I mean, if you're using it straight on, just draw like you're writing on a piece of paper. If you're using a powder, just very lightly put it on wherever you're going. It's control, I'll give it a 5. Very easy to control. And for realism on the pencil, I'll give it a 4. Pretty realistic if you're wanting that warm metallic look to it. I mean, just look at that. Look at that, get it in the light. I mean, wow. And cost, it's a pencil. I'll give it a 5. It's a pencil. It's what? $1 for 20, so it's 5 cents. Can't beat that unless it's free. So, and would I use it again? Well, hell yeah, I use it again. So, that's pretty much it. 4 tests. 2 of them worked, 2 of them didn't. So, 50%. I think some of those middle 2, if I did a different color of paint and a better paint job, it probably would have worked. But that on the chipping, unless you're using the hairspray method, do not use it do not use the toothbrush or the toothpick. Use the toothpick only if you can control it. So that's it for the test. I'll turn around here and we'll go over the video and we'll end everything. So we'll be right back. And we're back, and let's look over the results here, what actually worked, what didn't. I'm gonna put these into 3 categories: absolutely worth trying, surprisingly useful, and skip it. So absolutely worth trying, definitely the chipping with the sponge. That worked beautifully. Try both ways of doing the pencil. Just directly in the pencil and also the powder with the pencil lead. Both of those were great. Absolutely fantastic. Surprisingly useful. I'm going to put the toothpick chipping in with that, and also the toothbrush chipping. Both of those, the toothbrush chipping if you use the hairspray chipping method, and also the toothpick if you can control it, and also that'd be great for the hairspray method. So skip it as of now. This could be my own fault, but the coffee and the baking soda didn't seem to work. It just went all over the place and didn't, just made a mess basically. And the same thing with the baby powder and the cornstarch. Just made a mess. Didn't do any effects, just made a mess. So skip those 2. I just have 2 favorites out of this, and that's the number 1, the sponge for chipping, and both ways of using the pencil lead. Both of those were great. So, can you weather a model using household items? It depends how you use it. Yeah, there's some that work and some that don't, as you saw. So, leads me to the question, what's the strangest household item you ever used to weather a model? Let me know in the comment section below. Always love hearing from you. Remember, all my links and all my discount codes, find those, everything connected to the channel. You can find those in the video description, as well as a link to that hairspray chipping method video. Next video is going to be start of a 3-parter. Part 1 of a 3-parter is going to be the beginner's step-by-step guide on doing your first model. So that's going to be something to watch if you're a beginner. And also don't forget about the memberships, 99 cents. Oh wait, yeah, 99 cents a month, I believe. Either that or $1.99. So check that out. And that's all I got for you this time. It's been a long one. Thank you for staying with me this long. But you know what we always say around here, never stop pushing your modeling boundaries. Until next time, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.